Let's go to the Window Nation guest hotline and bring in from USA Today, the Ravens Wire, Kevin Oestreicher. Kevin, good morning. How you feeling?
Well, would be feeling better if the Ravens had pulled off the win and were able to keep a double-digit fourth-quarter lead. But alas, that is not what happened. And now the Ravens' playoff hopes, they are not completely gone, but it's not looking good right now.
Yeah, I see the defibrillator outside of one winning drive. But let's get back to the big topic of the last 48 hours. Derrick Henry now playing in the fourth quarter. Are you buying what John Harbaugh was selling in regards to the rationale there?
The Ravens have been very clear that they are using rotations and want to give guys moments based off of skill set and situation. And I mean, I buy that part of it because we've seen that's what they do. But if that's the case, they shouldn't have signed Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry deserves to be on the field in those big moments. And he's earned that, right? He's earned the opportunity to be on the field in those big moments. And, you know, a guy that completely, he had it in that Patriots game. I think, to me, you know, Keaton Mitchell is awesome, but he just didn't have it in that game.
Yeah, moving on from that, I mean, the side story here, along with Henry's usage, the fallout from it has been Harbaugh. And now his job security being asked about. He addressed it yesterday. He talked about his conversations with Steve Bisciotti as well and that whole relationship. Do you think it's getting to a point where it's almost, you know, now or never for him being on the outs?
Yeah, I mean, I do. And part of that reason is because, you know, and you've been in a place for almost 2 decades, and, you know, there have been the questions that there have been, not just this year, but for the, you know, last handful of seasons. There's always going to be, with coaches that have been around for that long, a question of, when you're not getting the job done, well, what else is it and what other changes can you make? And the Ravens have made plenty of those changes. They've gone through multiple coordinators. They've gone through, you know, different players. But the fact of the matter is, 3 playoff wins in the last 10 years, whatever that number is, it's not acceptable when it comes to having, you know, the players that John Harbaugh has had, meaning guys like Lamar Jackson, guys like Derrick Henry. And, you know, with Lamar, he's not getting younger. You know, he's going to be 29 at the end of next month, at the beginning, actually, of next month. And so when you have a player like that, and you've gone through the coordinators, and some of the fatal flaws that John Harbaugh has had have continued to pop up, whether it be game management, like we're talking about with the Derrick Henry, or some of the other stuff, I think, you know, a lot of the pull with John Harbaugh over the last handful of years with the playoff losses and lack of playoff success has been, you know, the fact that you can point to when John Harbaugh has his team ready to go and they're fighting, they're going to, with the healthy Lamar, they're going to win like 12, 13, 14 games, be in the playoff hunt, give themselves a chance. And he's also reshaped himself as a player's coach and really connects with the players. But with that regular season success gone here this season, and, you know, there are questions about whether the messaging is falling flat in the locker room or not, then it kind of becomes a question of, well, what else does John Harbaugh have at that point if the playoff success has not been there? And it all doesn't fall on John Harbaugh, but kind of like what we're talking about with the running game and Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell and, you know, John Harbaugh, like, being the head coach, like, he has that final say. Like, he can say, hey, like, to me, he can say, get Derrick in the game. Along the same lines, he is the head coach, and it does fall back on him. And to me, I think that there were a lot of Super Bowl or bust expectations. For me, it was the AFC Championship game, the minimum, or bust. And not even making the playoffs, going backwards 2 years in a row. I mean, I personally, if I was the Ravens, I wouldn't accept that.
Let's get a little good news in here, depending on how you.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how you look at it.
Note this off: fire Harbaugh.
Right. Ravens Pro Bowlers were announced this morning, and actually have 6 named to the team, which on the surface was stunning to me that we had 6 guys capable in how bad this year has been. Some are obvious. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, nobody's going to put up a fight with that. But Tyler Linderbaum, Patrick Ricard, Roquan Smith, Jordan Stout, and Zay Flowers, those are your other 5 there. Any thoughts on these guys? Any surprises here to you? I can't really say there were any snubs. Andrews, Henry, and Lamar were voted as alternates, so there's no shot we've got a snub here.
No, I mean, it makes sense. And those guys all to me are deserving. But, a guy that I think has been incredible this year is Jordan Stout. I mean, he absolutely earned that. And, multiple times throughout this season, when the Ravens have needed the field flipped or a team pinned inside their own 15, 10, 5-yard line even, Jordan Stout has delivered for them. And Jordan is interesting because it took him a little while to get acclimated over the first couple of years of his career with some ups and downs. But, I mean, this year he's been lights out. He's been incredible. And, he's a guy that I'm happy for him. Like, he's really made strides and turned into, in my opinion, one of the best punters in the league this season, which has been awesome. But, I mean, yeah, a guy like Zay going over 1,000, I know the fumbling stuff, but he's been the Ravens' entire passing offense this season when it comes to yards, targets, or stuff. Like, he's been the guy for them. And then Linderbaum, Hamilton. I mean, yeah, those guys are obvious real cool. Like, the Ravens have talent on this roster, and I'm really glad that it is getting recognized. But it is also, you kind of look at the roster, and a roster that a lot of people thought was one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL going into the season. I mean, I said it. I'll say it. I said it was the best going into the season, but I said they had some flaws. If those flaws popped up, well, it wouldn't be great. And it hasn't been as good of a year this year as many people thought. But I'm glad that these guys are getting recognized because they all absolutely deserve it.
Yeah, I was one of the people. Kevin said it was the best roster they ever had in the history of the franchise. He's Kevin Oestreicher, USA Today. Kevin, what's happening on the Ravens wire as we're 4 days away from the Ravens maybe getting eliminated from the playoffs here?
Yeah, talking about, obviously, the fallout from the Patriots game. You got scenarios for the playoffs going on, how they can bounce back. So just trying to see what they can do in a season that, might be one of the most disappointing seasons in Ravens history when it comes to how it's gone versus expectations. So diving into how they can keep everything alive and, the best case scenario for them with the slim playoff chances they do have.
Kevin, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. You and the family. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, guys. Appreciate you.
There's Kevin Oestreicher, everybody. It's ironic because 10 years ago, the 2015 team went in with great expectations, lost to Denver, you remember, in that epic game to start the year. Flacco got hurt. Everything flatlined. Ravens missed the playoffs. What is it, every decade this thing happens?